All right. We're going head on today. We'll see how you like that. I talk about a lot of the different parts that are inside of us often. It's one of the main things that I do is talking about, teaching about, learning about how the different parts of us are in cooperation with each other, or they're not, or there's dysfunction and one part is compensating. So what I want to talk about is a dysfunction that occurs with different parts of us to protect, to overpower, to create safety, and to inhibit vulnerability. So we all have a part of us that handles our relationships, our connections, and love. And plenty of us have been wounded, had our feelings hurt, had a trauma happen when we're younger. And when that happens, it's very common for the part of us that handles relationships to become too scared, too wounded, too fearful that we can't handle relationships. And so another part of us comes online, a warrior, a protector, risk manager, and inhibits us from creating healthy relationships. So we are neurobiologically wired to connect. That's what we're here to do. I talk about it all the time because I think that's what we're here to do. And there's all kinds of different ways where we screw that up and protect ourselves and get busy doing all kinds of other things. So Jung calls the part of us that handles relationships the lover quadrant, the lover archetype. And the part of us that handles boundaries and protection and multiple other things is what Jung calls the warrior. So when the lover is wounded, and it for any variety of reasons, it's often because the warrior isn't handling boundaries or didn't handle boundaries at a young age when it couldn't. So when we're kids, we are under the care of people who are supposed to protect us. They're supposed to take care of us. And when this doesn't happen, at whatever age, kid, child, teenager, somewhere in those ages where we can't protect ourselves, then something has to come online, or some type of new relationship, partnership needs to occur to keep us from getting hurt over and over and over and over. So it seems to make sense that if when I open my heart I get wounded, I don't open my heart anymore. I don't seek to connect. I don't seek to find love, have love, and do that in a really, really good way. So, and here's the clincher, which is if the part of us that's supposed to oversee this entire process is not there, which is supposed to be under, that the warrior is supposed to be under the direction of that part, then the warrior just takes over. That protective part of us, that risk manager, all of that is just taking all kinds of cues from other places, and it will do whatever it takes to inhibit pain to continue to occur. And so it can use anger, it can use pushing people away, all kinds of different tactics in order to create distance and to make sure that really no relationships happen in a healthy way. That part that's supposed to oversee everything in Jungian terms would be called a king. King being a term that fits for a lot of people, but not everybody, being that it comes from Eurocentric type language. But another name for that is the sovereign part of us. That's the quality of the characteristics of that entity. is the sovereign part of us. So the sovereign part of us sees the whole kingdom. It sees the whole more objective, our whole life and the many, many different facets and areas of it. So we continue to have improper uses of these different parts of us throughout our lives until we get really, really aware of what the different jobs are of these different entities, and we send them in to do the work that they're supposed to do. So in this dysfunction, if I send the warrior part of me in to handle relationships, how do we suppose those relationships are going to go? And if I take the relational part of me, the loving, connecting part of me, or let's say your inner child, the innocent part of you, and you send that part of you in to conduct war or negotiate things, well, that's the kind of dysfunction that occurs. The wires get crossed, and that's what happens. So the thing that needs to happen is the sovereign needs to recognize what job are we doing here and what part is the best part to handle that. So this can get all kinds of complex and different things can happen in here. But I wanted to give you just a kind of an overview. And this is a dysfunctional part. And probably I should talk about the ways that this happens in functional and healthy ways too. But I got an opportunity for you here to just kind of consider these things to a little bit greater extent. And the first thing that I want to ask you to consider is, what can you do to acknowledge how strong you really are? Because I think what happens is this warrior part of us takes over because there's a perception that we're not strong enough to be able to handle disappointment or pain or loss of love or something like that, which I would argue is what life is all about, the love and sometimes the loss of love, because it's not going to last forever. But I believe, well, like the old saying says, it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. But maybe you don't think that. And then this second question or opportunity I have for you here is, where does the fear that you're experiencing actually come from? So I'm afraid to connect. Where is it coming from? And where in your past and where in these different experiences did you begin to feel afraid? And is it still relevant? So this last question I have for you is, how can you gain a more objective 50,000 foot view to see what parts of your life need attention? So I think we all get busy and, head down, shoulder into it, work on this part, ignore these other parts. But in order to have harmony, we have to see how it all fits together. Otherwise, I just put attention here and I neglect over here, and vice versa. So that's what I've got. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.